Hello and welcome to another episode of Reading Reddit with Amber. Today we're doing another wedding video courtesy of r/WeddingShaming and r/Am I the Jerk. First up, am I the jerk for asking my fiance to agree to a child-free wedding? So here we go. Am I the jerk for asking the soon-to-be hubs for a child-free wedding? My fiance of 2.5 years and I are set to be married in a little over a year. We have been pretty much in agreement over most of the wedding planning except one thing. I told my fiance that I would like to have a child-free wedding because I do not want babies and little ones screaming, crying, or running around during our ceremony and reception. This is our special day, and I do not want that annoyance, especially during the vows. My fiance, however, said that he wants his 11-year-old son and his 4-year-old niece to be part of the day and to be in the pictures and whatnot. I told him that I understand this, I really do, but I want this to be elegant, not like a backyard barbecue. I also told him that I want to be the focus on our big day, and I feel his son especially will want most of his focus as he always does when he is around. He says he will try and prioritize me, but I know how it will go. My soon-to-be stepson will whine and literally cry until he gets the attention. Am I the jerk for wanting my wedding day to be child-free? Yes, you absolutely are. It's one thing to have a child-free wedding, but to try to exclude your soon-to-be stepson so he won't hog the spotlight is cruel and self-centered. A wedding isn't just a day to be the center of attention, it's about becoming a family in the eyes of the law. If you're not welcoming your fiance's son as part of your family, I don't know if you're ready to marry his father. Next up we have, am I the jerk for suddenly disinviting my father 4 days before my wedding? He even paid for my wedding and I haven't spoken to him since. Just to be clear, I got married in early February. I have always been very close to my father and stepmom growing up. I always felt like they offered me a stable home for me to grow up in. I never had that with my mother. During the last few years of my parents' marriage, my mother changed as a person. She was a happy and cheerful person when we were younger. She really changed after the divorce. She was miserable, and I felt that. I could tell that she hated the fact that I preferred to live with my dad, but never verbalized her feelings. She has been single since the divorce and refuses to date other people. I always wanted to have joint birthday parties with my mom, dad, and stepmom, but my mom wouldn't have it. She avoided my father like the plague. I never understood her behavior and resented her for it. Quite naturally, I preferred my dad's household over my mom's. Anyways, right before my wedding, I was staying at my dad's. One night, I overheard my dad and stepmom reminiscing about how they met. Now, they always told us that they met 6 months after the divorce at a library. Turns out they lied. They were talking about how my father couldn't take his eyes off her from the moment she walked into his office, and how he wanted her from that moment on, and how he didn't care that he had a pregnant wife at home. Apparently their first kiss was a few days after I was born, and the first time they had sex was on my parents' 3rd anniversary. I was only a few months old back then. They were talking about how difficult it was for them to continue their relationship after they get caught when I was 5. This was extremely shocking to me because my parents got divorced when I was 10. They were also making fun of my mom's weight. This meant that they carried on an affair throughout my parents' marriage. I remember my mom changing for the worse when I was in 2nd grade. My mom always knew and she never told me. I broke down crying that night and I felt really guilty because of the way I acted towards my mom growing up. I had no idea she went through so much. I was cheated on by my first boyfriend in college and it destroyed me. I felt horrible. That night, I didn't confront my dad, but the next morning I packed my stuff up and transferred the amount he had spent on my wedding. I didn't want his money. I told him I heard everything and asked him to stay away from my wedding. I left their house and drove to my mom's. I hugged her really hard and we both cried. I had my mom walk me down the aisle and I made sure my dad's family didn't attend the wedding. I didn't explicitly disinvite my half-brother, but he stayed away from my wedding and I'm actually glad he didn't come. I don't think I want anything to do with any of them anymore. I've heard from the grapevine that my dad is on antidepressants nowadays. My grandma blames me for his depression. Did I overreact? I still don't want anything to do with him. My dad's family think I was and am being cruel to him. Am I the jerk? No, Reddit writer, you're not the jerk here. I can't imagine how hard it was for you to find out that your father wasn't the person you thought he was. He did something terrible to your mom, and it's okay to feel hurt and to not want anything to do with him. I'm wishing you and your mom the best of luck moving forward. Next up, the single men get a traditional garter toss, but the single women get a white rose to remind them to stay pure. And so this is a Facebook thread, and it's a little hard to see, but it says, anyone doing something different in place of the garter and bouquet toss? Someone replies, I'm thinking to do a white rose giveaway to all my single women attendees to remind them that they can maintain purity during their single/engagement season. Then, I'm assuming this is the original poster says, one question, did you or your husband do something for the single men? Girl, I'm loving the idea. And then the commenter says, we didn't, just the traditional garter toss. Okay, that's just bogus. First of all, your guests' private lives aren't any of your business, so I think hitting them over the head with a message that they shouldn't have premarital intercourse is a lousy choice, period. Not to mention, if you have any assault survivors at your event, it could be triggering and could make them feel guilty for something that wasn't their fault. So all around, I think is a really bad idea. However, if you have it in your head that you must signal to your guests that they shouldn't bone outside of wedlock, make it equal opportunity. Next up, we have, oh, the things you see on Facebook. This couple moved their wedding up by months, had guests from across the country, several essential workers, and more than 10 people in attendance. The original Facebook post reads, nothing is more ironic, LOL, and one of your favorite guests is a narcotic canine police officer. God is so good. What a true blessing yesterday was. We are married, yay. Thank you for all the fabulous people who weren't living in fear. We turned a depressing time in history into a time of love, fun, happiness, and joy. We want to say thank you again. You know who you are, and we love you so much. If we go down, we go out with a bang, and not at home depressed as hell, LOL. We are going to die one day, and some of us just aren't living in fear. Thank you, DJ so-and-so, for taking a few fun pics from your booth. We danced the night away. Okay, just know, that's terrible logic. It's like saying, well, we're all going to die someday, so I'm going to go play in traffic. Next up, and this one's a little older, so it's from about 2 weeks ago, so I apologize if you already heard it. But it was so good I couldn't resist including it in here. Would I be the jerk for calling off the wedding? Alright, so I'm pretty torn here. I've been dating a girl for a long time, and it's been mostly great. I proposed a few months ago, and we've been planning some wedding stuff recently. Well, she has also recently dropped it on me that it is a family tradition to put a ball and chain on the groom at the reception as a joke, and they won't take it off until whenever the flip they decide to. I'm certainly not doing that, but she seems pretty firm on it. I feel like if you want to embarrass me like that, you can host your own reception without my family and friends there, and embarrass me all you want in front of your family and friends. Really might call this off if they're expecting me to go ball and chain, and I don't feel like I'm being unreasonable, but she's pretty effing mad at me right now for my refusal. Edit. Super overwhelmed with the responses. I didn't expect this many people to show up and agree with me. I really appreciate everyone's thoughts and advice, but there is no way I'll be able to reply to everyone, so here's some more info based on what I've read, most of the comments thus far. No, I'm not just looking for a reason to call off the wedding. Yes, you guys bring up very good points that if something like this would cause me to throw it away, then it may be some form of writing on the walls. Just to confirm, I do not want to throw it away. I will not be caving into this in any way, shape, or form unless, as I mentioned earlier, she wants to finance her own private reception where her family and friends can embarrass me all they want while mine aren't present. The point above, in my opinion, doesn't mean the wedding will be called off. It's up to her how firm she is on the joke and if they'll just let it go. Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with you here, letter writer or Reddit writer. Wedding traditions should be meaningful to both partners ideally, but at a minimum, you both need to be comfortable with them. You're well within your rights to refuse to participate in a tradition that makes you feel uncomfortable. And, saying that, oh, well, it's a tradition to try and make people do stuff is not a great reason. There are good traditions that are worth keeping going, but if a tradition makes you feel uncomfortable, then you don't have to participate, and you shouldn't be expected to. Alright, for our last story of the day, we have, am I the jerk for missing my brother-in-law's wedding? I have a group of friends from way back when, and each year we go on a big trip together. This year's trip was in February, and we went to Vegas. We booked these trips at least 6 months out, and because of schedules, it's really hard and basically impossible to change the dates after it's booked or people won't be able to go. My brother-in-law got engaged last year, and when they picked a wedding date, it was the same weekend as my trip with my friends. I asked my wife if she thought they could pick a different day, but she refused to even ask them. I kind of figured then she was okay with me missing it for my trip because she knows how important they are to me. When the invitations came, she asked me what I wanted for the dinner choice, and I said I wasn't going. She flipped out. She said she couldn't believe I was being so selfish and this is family. I said I tried to tell her a few months back, but she wouldn't get it changed. Anyway, the weekend came and she tried to throw me this huge guilt trip about not going and letting her down, saying I was going to miss an important day and that she needed to help with the kids, even though it's family and there will be plenty of people there. I told her I was sorry, but this other trip was scheduled first and it's the only time I get to see my friends, where we'll see her family all the time. It's been a few months now and she still acts ticked off. I knew she'd be upset, but it was being a guest at a wedding. It's not like I was supposed to be in it. Dude, if you can't see why you're the jerk, I don't know what to tell you. I guarantee it would have been easier to try to move your bro trip than to move a wedding, which has lots of vendors with different schedules all working in tandem to make the event happen. And if your friends didn't want to move it, the right thing to do would have been to bow out and say you'd join them next year. Alright everyone, those are all the stories I have for you today. What do you think of them? Let me know in the comments. Also, if there are any other subreddits or topics you'd like to see me cover, let me know and I'll see what I can do. Thanks for watching and have a great day.